Dan Mazier, Member of Parliament for Dauphin Swan River Neepawa in Manitoba, Conservative Party of Canada. I was born and raised on a farm. I'm from rural Canada, and I've always been involved in some sort of politics or some type of board or something like that. I'm of the thought that you better get involved if you want to impact change. And there is a real need for a voice for rural Canada. It takes up so much of our space, but yet it's more densely populated in that urban voice. So I figured it was time for a good voice to come to Ottawa and represent rural Canada. They needed a voice. My proudest accomplishment so far is the private members bill. I've introduced C288. It's with internet service providers, and it's really taught me how legislation is developed in Canada here and in our democracy. And I'll have to say it got through the House on the second reading unanimously, so it's passed. It's in committee. We're just going through that process right now, and I'm learning very much a lot about that. So what motivates me every day is the people I represent. It's more than the politics. It's more about there's certain passions, there's certain interests that really drives you to do this job, to get you up in the morning, and it's important work. It's defending our democracy, representing people is a huge responsibility, and I take that on with great challenge and energy every day. Politics, there's politics, and then there's the policy part of it, right? There's the legislative part of it. So what I've learned about this job, especially since I'm newly elected in 2019, is there is basically two lives that you live. You live the more the political and talking to people, listening to what the constituents is on their minds, but also enacting that, bringing that to Ottawa, and then putting in legislation that positively impacts their lives. And I would say that's probably learned the most about our democracy, if I would say something, and just how legislation is introduced and how it goes through Ottawa to make it a positive change for here and for all Canadians, actually. So I would say that's probably what I learned the most. Back to my private members bill. It's internet for internet service providers right now can actually sell you service, like a theoretical service right now. And so I introduced the bill, but you need all party support if you want it passed, especially in these times when we have a minority government. It's probably more important for you to work across party aisles. So I did get all party support for the bill to go through the House, and that in the committee member reps and all that kind of stuff. So all those members in there. So that's and it is very important, no matter what bill you're passing, and it's whatever interest, because everybody's got a different agenda, I guess, or a different passion, right? So when it comes to legislative, it's not like horse trading, but it's why is this so important? What impact would this have? And you always ask yourself when you're making these legislations up, like, what's this mean to my riding, right? The people I represent, and maybe you got 2 or 3 colleagues across the aisle. It's the same impact. So that would change the direction of where the policy or where the legislation goes, and this is how our democracy works. I think getting the facts out. There's a lot of apathy to, they see something somewhere, and whether it's on the internet or on TV, and it seems to be all spin, and people don't know who to believe now. Fortunately, there's programs like this that are really getting people, I think, back engaged and getting them lined back up to where do we look for the facts. And that's whenever I talk to schools or anybody that's interested in politics. Like there's Parleview, there's Open Parliament. These are some really good sites that we can go and look for and judge ourselves. We can go make our own decisions, and I think that is probably our, fighting that apathy, I think, is probably one of the bigger threats that we have right now, that people need to get engaged. So what gives me hope for the next generation is the next generation. Anytime you bring youth into the equation, I would say that it's just amazing. I do pride myself in trying to get new people involved into politics, and it doesn't matter what age. I just say, but youth bring a certain amount of energy. It's channeling that energy, and it's even to have a discussion about them, like, so you listen to them, and you have even it's okay to disagree. But that's what gives me hope. Like, I think that's, if we didn't have the youth, it would never renew, and we need our youth. Like, what we're doing today is for them tomorrow, so they can do everything they need to do in the future. Don't be scared to get to know your elected official, no matter what level of government, whether that's your municipal councillor at City Hall, whether that's your provincial rep, that's your MLA, or your MP. Pick up the phone, stop in their offices, get to know them. Because the more you know them, the more they know what they're doing for you. And then, or the more you can you can ask those questions. So here I've got a problem. And I call it more of a proactive approach. So if I could benefit anything or tell anybody anything about this, is that's the way I kind of approach that too, right? Is that get to know each other, get to know your elected officials, and that's what I would tell my 16-year-old self.